Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 2. My name is Eric. We're here live doing the Red Devil recap after Manchester United lose at home once again. Tough result today. Tough performance. It was a little bit of a hard watch. It just really wasn't it really wasn't good. It wasn't good. And we have a lot to talk about. We're going to do live player ratings. We're going to break down the match. We have a lot to discuss. We have to talk about certain issues that are in our squad. We have quite a lot of issues in our squad that we need to address today. And before we do that, please smash the like button because it helps the channel grow. So if you want to help us out, we greatly appreciate it. Please do that. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed the content, subscribe. Hit the notification bell icon so you don't miss a live. We go live after every match, and we're live throughout the week as well. We also have some breaking news that we're going to have to get into. But let's discuss the match at first. And I'll give you my opinions. Listen, it's a bit difficult. I don't think we played well in a certain sense. I think we were pretty woeful. My biggest thing was that we were wasteful. We had 10 corners. We had about 10 shots, but 0 on target at halftime. So I don't think we were necessarily bad in that, we were like just absolutely dreadful, but we were very wasteful. We were very wasteful today. We couldn't make any concrete chances. We didn't do enough with the ball. I think the general play was all right, although the midfield for me was a little bit exposed. And it just, I don't know. There was something watching the match. It just felt like we were missing something the whole match. We were missing something in the midfield for sure. The defense wasn't great today. And too many individual mistakes, too many individual players not doing their job, and not executing. A lot of people, just Garnacho was put in the Crystal Palace. I don't even know what his name is, but he was put in his pocket today. And I would say Amorim tried something a little different. Obviously, putting Manu up top and putting him as, I guess, kind of a false nine or the striker. And it didn't really work out. It looked nice on paper and it looked nice in certain aspects, but it just didn't work out. Although I would say that, nobody can really blame our two strikers today. Nobody can blame Rasmus and nobody can blame Xerxes because they didn't start the match and we tried something different and it didn't work out. So I think Amorim's going to have to get a little bit of the blame today as well. But, listen, I mean, I'm here. I don't even feel angry because we're already used to this, and I'm already in the mindset. We know this is gonna happen. I don't know how many times we say it throughout the week, how many times we said it in weeks and months through this season that Manchester United are gonna do this for the remainder of the season. We are gonna play a game where we go into Europe. It's a half-decent game. We get a good result. We go play at home against Crystal Palace. And we revert back to type and play, just very bad, very just dog shit. It is what it is at this point. So, I don't really know, how you fix these problems in the moment that we're in. It's going to take some time to do what we need to do. I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of a technical ability in the squad, and I think we see that. It looked a little bit better when Christian Eriksen came on, but not enough. And it was just very poor performances, all over the pitch. Ahmad was poor today. Kobe wasn't effective in that 9. Garnacho was kept quiet today. Bruno not affecting the game enough. Ugarte not doing enough in the midfield. The defense all over the pitch pretty much on all aspects. Not doing well. I think Delo made many mistakes, many bad passes as well. So the whole team kind of reverted backwards. And we've been doing this. I don't know how many matches have we been doing this, where we take a step forward, we take a step back. And I just don't think, I've been saying it for quite some time. I just don't think it's going to get figured out this season. And this is going to be a reoccurring theme where we're just going to, we're going to have one match where it's a decent performance and we get a good result. We're going to play another match where it's absolutely horrid and we're going to get, beaten. And then we're going to have a match like today where I think we did okay in certain aspects, but we didn't do enough. And then therefore we get punished and we lose the match. Because I certainly think, we had 10 corners, we had 10 shots, but we had no shots on target till the second half. We came out, started a little bit stronger, got 2 shots on target in quick succession, but then we died out and we became flat again. So, there's many key things that we need to figure out in here. And one of the things that Amorim is going to have to figure out is a problem that is not set by him. It's happened under Erik ten Hag. There's still similarities that I see from Erik ten Hag's team to Ruben Amorim's team, mainly in the attacking output, right? And those problems were happening before Erik ten Hag as well. So, it's a problem that Amorim has to address, but it's not a problem created by Ruben Amorim. But he's certainly going to have to address it because it needs to be fixed if Manchester United are going to go anywhere. If we're going to move forward, if we're going to improve, if we're going to become a stronger team, if we're going to become a better team, he needs to figure out how we get this team to create good chances and unlock defenses. One of our biggest problems that Manchester United has had for numerous amounts of years is when we are the top dog and not the underdog. When we are playing at home against Crystal Palace, and it is our job to go out there, control the play, control the tempo of the game, and Crystal Palace are going to sit back in a defensive block, keep their shape, be strong, and counterattack us. We have a real issue in this squad to unlock defenses and score goals, and we keep losing these matches. When we play bigger teams, like an Arsenal or Liverpool, I wouldn't say Arsenal's a bigger team than us, but I'm saying bigger, better. I meant better in terms of, the standard of football that they're playing right now. When we play those teams, we are the underdog. And when we are the underdog, the pressure is a little bit off of us. And also, we're more effective because we go kind of into counterattack mode. And we're afforded more space. And therefore, we can create more chances. We have a real issue in this team when we play these smaller teams that keep their shape and play defensive. I mean, Crystal Palace, they were very good in their shape. They were very defensive. They were clogging up the middle of the field, like I'd never seen before. And even I felt helpless when I was watching the match. And I'm looking, when we have the ball, and I'm just like, how do we create a chance out of this? Looking at the positioning on the pitch, and I'm just, I was lost. I was like, I don't even know what they should necessarily do with it. Where you put it, where you pass it, how you get past this block that they had. But that's kind of my initial 2 cents on the match and how I felt. I feel like I have a lot of question marks, but I don't have a lot of answers today. It's really kind of a strange feeling. But we're going to get to live player ratings in a second. We're going to get to some of the news. There's some news around Matthias Tell that is breaking, so we're going to get to that. We're going to get to Amorim's quotes. But first, I want to get to the live chat because the community is in here and they're giving their opinions. And I want to get to the community and hear out the community. If you're new, get involved. But we have our regulars that carry the show, and I want to hear from them. So Grace started off by saying, I've had a nice sleep. Hope everyone has had a wonderful day. Did you not watch the match, Grace? RSV says Amorim got it wrong for playing Mino as a false 9. He also kept trusting Delo at left wing back. Yeah, I think that's a fair point, RSV. He tried something different today, which I can't necessarily knock him for that, but it didn't work out. So, he's going to get the criticism for it, which is fair enough. Although I think one of the things he should have done was that, when he went to go make the changes, I do think that he should have just dropped Manu back into the 10, moved Diallo to the right wing back, took out Maz. Instead of what he did was he took off Manu. Now maybe he took off Manu for fitness reasons, to to rotate. Maybe he's managing minutes in that point, but I would have thought just drop Manu back to the 10, put Xerxes up top, because I think it was a match for Xerxes. We needed some height. We needed a little bit of sort of a focal point, a bigger focal point. Not interchanging, but one that was steady, one that was just there, that we knew that was going to be there. And I think it was a match for Xerxes. I would have put Xerxes up there, would have put Mano at the 10. I would have pushed Diallo out wide to wing back, taking off Maz. And yeah, but he didn't do that, and he went that way. But he certainly got it wrong. It didn't work out. Axe came in here. I think he left, but he said, "What was that game?" And then left. Well, it wasn't a good game. Line says, breaking news, Eze has been kidnapped by the Shijimbo and won't let him go until he signs a 5-year contract. Well, we could certainly probably use him. So, Grace says, guys, we all need to relax. Jim will sort it out. Grace says Delo was fine. He was not fine today. He was not fine. I don't think there was a player on the pitch today that was fine, Grace. Delo did not play well. He made many mistakes. And he's gonna have to accept responsibility for that. But as RSV already mentioned, I don't think Delo plays particularly well on the left-hand side. And I think we need to, well, hopefully this will stop, because now we have Dorgu. Obviously, Dorgu, was out there in the beginning with the shirt with Made in Heaven, as I've coined him already. Hate in Heaven. But Made in Heaven. I have question marks over Heaven, because he hasn't played for Arsenal, and they keep saying that he's gonna come into our first team. So let's see what he's got. But hopefully this will stop with Dorgu, and Dorgu will come in, and Luke Shaw is back. Well, although I don't really rely on Luke Shaw too much, but let's see what we get out of that. But at least we have Dorgu. I don't think Delo plays particularly well on the left. I just don't think he's comfortable. When I watch him, I know he's a good player. I know he can do important things for us, but when I watch him on the left-hand side, he just gives off this vibe of he's not as comfortable as he is on the left, and I think it hinders his game, and it impacts him in a negative way. So I would like to see Delo back permanently on the right, because I think we're going to get more out of him, and we're going to get better performances. And we actually need somebody that actually plays on the left with the left foot. That is their job. So we need that. RSV says there was no progression in that midfield. Amorim should have made subs sooner. Well, I kind of felt like we needed Collier in there today too. I think we needed a little bit more presence. I felt like our team was a little bit small compared to Crystal Palace, and I just felt like there was, I certainly felt like we lost the game as well because of the midfield battle. I don't think we won the midfield today. And if you don't win the midfield, you're more than likely to lose the match. So, I kept looking to that middle of the pitch today in the match, and I was just like, we're missing something. We don't have enough presence there. And I just felt like we needed to add something extra there. Now, I don't know. Obviously, Collier didn't get on. Maybe he was just there holding a spot. Because maybe he wasn't 100% fit, and they didn't want to risk him. But I just felt like we needed something extra there, and we didn't get it. So, Richard says, afternoon, sloppy passing, no energy, no one to speak highly of, and Squarehead gets -1. Well, yeah, I mean, generally, it just was all around for the team. It was bad. It was sloppy. The energy was sort of low, especially, when we went down. It didn't really pick up when we went down 2. Then it sort of picked up more, but I think that's because Crystal Palace decided, let's just make sure they don't score a goal, which allowed us to get more control in the game. We didn't really force it upon them in the way that they were originally playing. So, yeah, I mean, nobody, as Richard said, no one to speak highly of today. There really wasn't. It was really flat as a team all around. So, Lyle's here as well. Lyle, how you doing? How you feeling about the match? Um, Let us know. Let us know. Um, Aventino saying I bought some compasses to be attached to the players' feet. Yeah, they might need some directions after today because they looked sort of lost. Lyle saying first 15 minutes. Yes, good point, because I almost forgot about that in the grand scheme of things. But first 15 minutes, that fluid flow we had worked, then strangely just disappeared and we lost our flow. And it's a good point by Lyle, because actually the first 15 minutes I felt sort of encouraged, which is why I probably feel heavily disappointed by today's result, because I felt a sort of dynamic in that first 15 minutes. I was like, oh, maybe this can work. It looks, sort of good. There's a good flow to it. It felt a little bit different. I felt a little bit encouraged that we had 3 young players leading the line, and I was like, obviously, Mainu's never played there. It's not his position. It's something different, and I was like, maybe it works out today. But as Lyle said, it kind of just disappeared. And I don't think necessarily strangely, Lyle. I don't think we've never necessarily played like that. And Manchester United as a team have sort of been doing this, right? We've never given a 90-minute performance, for multiple managers now. Ruben Amorim, Ten Hag. You could probably put it back to other managers as well, but we've been doing this for quite some time. So I don't think it's like that strange. It's just disappointing, again, because we haven't figured out yet how to sustain that on a consistent basis. And that's one of our issues. And one of the main problems that Ruben Amorim is going to have to figure out how to, fix. But I think all these issues that we're facing, lack of creativity up front, the lack of tempo, that flow that sort of you mentioned, Lyle, disappearing, these things are going to take time. I think, obviously we need to address them. They have to be addressed. They have to be fixed. They have to be sorted out. And that's Ruben Amorim's job. But I think these things are going to take more time. And obviously fans are going to be more and more impatient as it goes on, as we go further. But I just don't think you sort those things out as quickly as we probably need. It's more of a need than a want. We need to, because it's going to improve our performances and our results. But I just think that I just think those problems have been so ingrained over the past few seasons that it's not a quick fix, right? It's developed into problems over a numerous amounts of seasons and years, and therefore I just don't see how you come in and you fix it within a couple months or a couple weeks. I think that's going to take time and progress, and we're going to have to keep chipping away at it little by little until we turn it around into a positive action for us. Aventino says, priority shipping, those passes were horrendous. Yeah, I mean, unacceptable from professional players that you go out there and you play in that manner, that you can't do 5-yard passes, 10-yard passes. It was clearly 110% below standards today. So, Aventino says Maguire started exceptionally and fell by the wayside, and I think you could kind of say that for most of the team, if not all the team. Especially in that first 15 minutes, they looked all right. They looked pretty good. And we started here and we went off a cliff and we just went completely flat and deadlined. Grace says game wasn't on UK TV. Oh yeah, that's right. Don't understand it. Still don't understand that one, Grace. Really don't. I think that's a disgrace for the UK people. Literally doesn't make sense to me. Lion says Dorgu is still a bit green. Think about it. He is, but unfortunately we need him. And let's see what he gives us, and let's see what we can get out of him, because regardless of if he's still a little bit green, Lions, and I do agree he is, he plays on that side. And we don't have necessarily anybody. I mean, Malacia seems like he's going to get loaned down and moved on, which is sort of a surprise because, many of us thought it would happen in the summer, but they're really pushing that. And he almost went to Benfica, but the deal kind of collapsed. So, and something that we haven't talked about get was the injury to Martinez. Is going to be one that's going to have a significant impact on the squad. I feel very sad. And I think, unfortunately, obviously we have to see, what they tell us, but I think Martinez, I don't think we're going to see him back for the rest of the season. I think it was a very bad injury. It was to his left knee. If I'm not mistaken, that was the knee that he had surgery on. And I feel very sad. I feel very upset that it's happened to Martinez. It was painful to watch him in pain. And that situation go down, that he had to get carried off the pitch and he was crying. And yeah, I think that sucked whatever we had left in that team, which wasn't much. I think that sucked the energy out of the team. I think it made us even more flat. Um, and we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen going forward, because he's a player that you say has a good strong mentality, a good attitude. He's probably certainly one that you would say is more of a leader than most in that team, and many of us say that we lack leaders in that team, and we've lost him. So it's taken away from Manchester United, and I don't know where we go forward. It's one less player to rotate. It's gonna mean more minutes on the defenders back there. We might have to shift Maz into those center back positions once again. And let's see what happens and what comes out of that. But yeah, I'm hoping and wishing for the best for Martinez, but it just really didn't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't have a good gut feeling about it. I feel like we may possibly not see him for quite some time. I mean, it might be till like next Christmas that we don't see him, and I hope not. But let's see what they tell us. Aventino saying Amorim huge mistakes today, was giving Xerxes and Hoyland together too slow. I mean, yeah, listen, he tried to change the game. He tried to have an impact. I don't know, from the circumstances. Again, I would have kept Manu on and thrown on one of Xerxes or Hoyland, and I probably would have preferred Xerxes because I felt like it was a Xerxes match. And I felt like Xerxes would have had a good impact there, but he took off Mano and he put on both, and that still didn't work. Today felt like one of those matches that whatever we were gonna try, nothing was gonna work. We weren't gonna figure it out. We weren't gonna score a goal. We could have played for 180 minutes. We wouldn't have figured it out. And it's one of those matches in football. But this is what happens when your team isn't performing particularly well. For the season as a whole, because listen, in football these things happen, but if we were performing well overall for the season, you go into this match and you say it was disappointing and it was bad, but these matches happen and you move on to the next one. But you can't really say that when we've been poor all season. It's just another one on top of whatever we've gotten. So yeah, Gray says Tell will save us. Well, probably not, but hopefully he could not necessarily save us, but maybe it could add something to the squad. So, Richard says, on the bright side, if we get a couple of wins before the end of the season, we will rise above Fulham. Well, yeah, I mean, that's called sarcasm. Yeah, I felt that. Lion says it was because the game was rescheduled from Saturday to Sunday. Maybe that has an impact, but there's no excuses for what we saw today, really. Aventino says, wish him a speedy recovery, Martinez. By the looks of it, he will be out for a minute. He creates great long passes, and he's been real influential as of late. He's stepped it up. He was having big impacts. He scored a goal. He had 2 assists. He was putting in very good crosses into the box from that position, from the top of the box. And we're gonna miss him. I know we're gonna miss him. And it's gonna hurt us, for sure. So, it's just another unfortunate and bad circumstance that Manchester United have gone into now with that sort of player missing. And we're just gonna have to deal with it like we have to deal with everything else, and try our best, and we're gonna have to figure it out. Aventino says, yeah, man, pick one, not both. I was thinking, Well, that's what I would have done, but he tried to pick both. And you know, I can't necessarily knock him for that either, but it just didn't work. So you know, um, Lion says the counter is updated by 10 extra subs. Oh, it's good. It works very slow. Yes, I mean we are getting more subs. The counter is very behind and takes, I don't know, a couple days, but we are trying to get to 3,000. We're making progress there. We're 90 away. So, and we have been getting subs. I've been seeing the real number behind the scenes, and yeah, after every show we're doing that. So let's get into live player ratings. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get to some quotes from Ruben Amorim, because I think they're going to be some big ones. So live player ratings, if you want to get involved and do them as we go along, you can, as always, and I'll read out your score as always, of course. Andre Onana, I don't know what to give him. A 4, a 5. I mean, I felt like he had one good save in the beginning of the game. I felt like he had to do more on the first goal that they saved. The second goal, you know, I don't know how you blame him. I mean, they completely obliterated our defense. It was a square pass. You're never gonna save that. If you do save it, I mean, that's something, you know, supernatural. So, you know, Aventino gives him a 4. Richard gives him a -7. Lion says Onana released the ball a lot faster today. He did, which is good. But I think that comes with sort of the tactics, and the general gameplay of how we're playing. He also hit the ball a lot more longer. We didn't play too much out of the back as we tried to play. You know what I mean? And Aventino says, can't blame him for the second, too flat-footed for the first. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to go like too harsh on him, because yeah, we gave up 2 goals. I can't blame him for the second one. I think the first one, I think he had to do better on that, and it led to the goal, because I think he had to get a touch on that. He could have got a touch on it, and maybe he was too flat-footed. I didn't analyze too much, you know, his positioning and on the goal, and I'll watch it back later. But yeah, you know, Lenny Yoro, I mean, individually, I think he was alright, but as a unit in the back, the defense was very bad today, very shaky. I probably want to give him a 5. You know, the whole defense. I mean, Maguire probably a 4 or a 3. Aventino says 4. Euro 4. Well, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I kind of want to give the whole defense like a 4. Martinez, Richard is giving Harry Maguire a 1. Yeah, I mean, they just weren't good as a unit today. I kind of look at it. I'm like, I know they were poor individually, but as a unit, they just weren't good, and the midfield wasn't good as a unit either. And I just felt like that whole block there was very, very bad. Martinez a 6. Them skills on the halfway line. Well, I would probably give him a 5. Because I think as a unit they weren't great. He was better a little bit individually. And he does that important role as the ball playing defender. He's very good at it, but obviously he went off injured. He didn't finish the match, and you know, we just weren't good defensively. So Aventino says he offers little to nothing in aerial duels and games. Euro, you're saying. And Martinez, yeah, Lion said that we did that one. Maz, I probably give him a 4.5. He wasn't good today either. Going forward he was very bad. Couldn't figure out the link up play, couldn't figure out 5-yard passes. You know, it just wasn't good. It wasn't good from him. It wasn't good from him at all. Ugarte, probably a 5. You know, was there, had a good shot, which I wish he scored, but kind of felt like, kind of just, the presence wasn't there. The presence wasn't there. Maz has been dropping off badly. Well, yeah, and this is what happens. It comes from the team. You know, Aventino, it comes from the team, because this is what I'm saying. Like, and this is why I feel like the fan base needs to wake up a little bit more, and they need to stop individualizing it so much. We can individualize, but it can't be the whole thing. The fan base needs to look at it as a whole, from a team standpoint, as a unit, as a team on the pitch. And I don't think a lot of people do that as much as it needs to be, because the focus ends up going on players. And what happens with players is, they're players. They're human beings. Like, Amad Diallo doing what Amad Diallo was doing for like a month and a half and carrying us is it's unsustainable. He's not going to be able to do that for the entire season. Maz having performances like he was doing, yeah, you can sustain them for maybe a good period, but he's going to hit a point where he goes a little bit out of form, where he doesn't have some good games, and this is what happens. Like, our players that are carrying the teams, at some point they will hit a point where they go a little bit out of form, because this is what happens in football. And then people start getting on their backs because they're not doing what they were doing before. And it's like, well, the team wasn't doing what they needed to do at that period of time. Now you're getting at the players that were carrying us, all based off of individual performances, but the team is still performing in a bad way as a team. So, I do agree that he's dropping down, but this is what happens, and this is why you need the team as a unit, because when they do drop down, the other players can pick them up and kind of fill in for them dropping down, and then they'll be able to come back in as they'll come back into form, and they'll meet the levels. But when your players that are carrying the team have the drop and the other players haven't picked up, then the whole team just deadlines. Richard says, yeah, we need to give Martinez a break. Well, I think he's going to get a very extended break now. Ugarte 5 says Aventino, and says what I said is true. Lion says, I don't like Ugarte. I can't see what everyone is praising about. Well, I think there's periods and times where he is very effective in breaking up the play, and he's aggressive, and, whether that's getting a foot on the ball or getting a foot on the player. But today, it just, I kind of felt like he was out there alone today, too, because I don't think Bruno, being partnered with Bruno, I don't think Bruno, I think Bruno had a very poor game today, and I don't think Bruno did enough, in helping Ugarte in that midfield. And it's kind of coming to a point now that, many people have been saying that Bruno is a problem, but I think the issue is coming to, what do we do with Bruno now? Because I think people are going to push that they want Menu in the 10, and they want one of the other players, whether that's Diallo or Garnacho, they want them there. And people don't really want Bruno there, and they say drop Bruno back. But sometimes Bruno plays very good there, but then sometimes Bruno has a match like he did today, and it's like, well, I don't really know if he works there. And it's like, well, what do you do with him? Because at the end of the day, he's still the captain, and I just don't think they're gonna drop him. Now many people would argue drop him, and maybe you should, and just rotate for those number 10 spots, and see what happens. But at this moment in time, I just don't think it's gonna happen. So that's an issue that's coming up. And I don't know, what you do with that. No, I disagree, Axe. It says stop being an Amorim apologetic. Amorim is the main problem. He's not. Just like Ten Hag was not. Wasn't. I think every manager. I've held this line for every single manager that we've had, even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who I don't even think was that very good as a manager, but I certainly don't think that the managers are the main problems. I don't. I really don't. There's bigger main problems above us. I don't think the squad is good enough. I don't think it's built to the system that we have or trying to implement. And I think we've done very poor in recruiting, not under Ineos so far. I think they've done a good job, but previously, And we have a lot of issues we need to sort out. I think the manager, his tactics and his system is a very minimal thing. I think those things can be sorted out and figured out. So I'm not being Amorim apologetic. It just wasn't a good performance today. He got things wrong. But I won't be Ruben Amorim out. I'm always very reluctant to be any manager out, and I always hold out till the very end as much as possible. So um yeah. Um yeah, Richard says, yeah, Amorim out, get the Dutch guy in. Eric Ten Hag. Yeah, I mean, it didn't work well for him either. There was problems that Eric Ten Hag had as his manager, as he was manager in his system that are going on in Ruben Amorim. So what that tells me is that it's not a manager problem. It is a squad issue, and the squad issue needs to be addressed by not only the manager but our hierarchy as well. And we're gonna have to chip away at that. So, Aventino says, here's the issue: when you drop Bruno in the middle, in the midfield, he often gets dragged way back to receive the ball and such. Well, he does that himself. So, he drops very deep. And I feel like he does that because he wants to do that. Lion says Ali got second place. Yeah, so did Mourinho, but I just don't think it was sustainable. You know what I mean? It wasn't sustainable. X says the other manager played the same system on paper. Palace was able to absorb the pressure and control the game. We were shit. This system fits almost none of our players. Yes, we've had this problem for many years though, Axe, I would say. I don't know how many managers I can say that we go into a match, if we play a team that is able to absorb the pressure, which is many teams in the Premier League because they have a good shape and they play in that manner. We struggle to score goals and we struggle to win those matches. It's not an Amorim problem. I mean, it's an Amorim problem that he's inherited. It's not an Amorim problem. Amorim didn't create this problem. This problem isn't happening because Amorim's system. It's not like we were scoring a ton of goals and we were very good before Amorim came in with his system. This problem has been here prior to him, but it's now become his job to figure it out and to fix it. And I think that's going to take time because, again, this problem has developed over numerous amounts of years. So you're not going to figure it out in weeks and months. It's not going to happen. Just like everything else at Manchester United. Aventino, so now his creative plays are less common. Leave Bruno in the 10. Well, maybe we do have to do that and just rotate. And just play, kind of based off of merit. Whoever plays the best goes in. But it's certainly becoming an issue because how do you drop the captain? You know what I mean? And this is the problem with not having the strongest leader that you could possibly have, because there's arguments that you can drop Bruno based off of performances and stuff like that. And maybe you might have to drop him for a game or two and rotate somebody else in there. And when you don't have for example, like when Roy Keane was captain, you're not dropping Roy Keane because Roy Keane is giving you fucking 9 out of 10 performances like every match. So there's no talk of dropping him. There's no need. But in this current squad, even if you take the captaincy off of Bruno and you give it to anybody else, it becomes the same argument because it's like, well, they're the captain. How do you drop the captain? Right? And I don't think there's one player in the team that you could give the captaincy to, and then you can't have a discussion of, well, we may have to drop them because they're not playing good. So it's certainly an issue in the squad. I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know how you figure that out, but X says, name how many players have Amorim improved. I don't know. He's been here for like a couple months. It has nothing to do with improving players right now. It's about improving the team as a whole. Individually, I mean, Ahmad, I would say out of one, had a good run of form under him. But individually, I think Ugarte stepped it up as well since he came in under him. He didn't have good performances today, They're very inconsistent. The team as a whole, um, you know, but that's not my concern right now. Um, Aventino says Garnacho doesn't start for me. Bruno and Mano in the 10. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. And Garnacho comes on as a sub. I mean, when he came on as a sub the other day, he had a big impact and he was good. And maybe that's something that we have to look at. You know. Axe says never should have hired a manager from Portugal, including. Yeah, I don't understand that, Axe. What does that have to do with anything? What does being from Portugal have to do with anything? We hired a manager from the Netherlands. We hired a manager. We had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That wasn't even like a real manager. You know, we hired him. He's from Norway. What does that have to do with anything? I don't understand that. If anything, Portugal. I mean, the league isn't that good, but they have three very good teams that compete in Europe. And players from the Portuguese league and are Portuguese come to the Premier League and play well. There's Portuguese managers. Nuno Espirito Santo is a Portuguese manager that is doing well in the Premier League and has done well. Players come there and managers come there. Portugal has a very good succession rate in the Premier League, and in Europe. So I don't know what that really has to do with anything. X says at least we were mid-table with Eric Ten Hag. Certainly got worse. We're still mid-table. We're still mid-table. We're still mid-table. We're gonna finish mid-table. So I'm blind by toxic optimism. No, I'm not. Absolutely, I'm not. The line says, and you're clouded by just toxicity. I know zero. Well, then you know everything. So you know what it is. I don't even know what toxic optimism is, as Richard is saying. I don't even know if that's a thing. I think you just made that up. But I can name the whole team as most players have regressed, and Delo is struggling the most because Delo is playing on the left because we don't have a left wing back. How is that Amorim's fault? How is Manchester United not having a left back Amorim's fault? It doesn't make sense. You're putting blame onto Amorim on things that are literally not his fault. You can blame him today for putting Manu up top. That his decision, his choice. He didn't have to do that. We have options. You can blame him for making some of the subs he made. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that really ain't his fault. And I already know that whatever it is, you want a quick fix, it's not going to happen. And we don't know what would have happened under Eric Ten Hag. We could have dipped down worse than we are now. We could have been in the same exact position. Nobody knows that. Because it wasn't good anyway. It didn't start good. It wasn't going well. We could have, under Eric Ten Hag, we could have maybe not even qualified in Europa League. So I can make the same arguments. But I try not to because they're hypotheticals and we don't have anything to talk. There's nothing to talk about. So, Richard says great goalkeeper Nuno. Elias says the league is a write-off. It's been a write-off for quite some time because we know this. It's been a write-off. He came in. We were hoping for a bounce. The bounce didn't come because of the system, and we chose to go down that path, and it's made it more difficult. And it's been a write-off for quite some time. So, like I said, the period of the league is to try and learn the system as best as possible, progress the team as best as possible, so that we're further ahead for next season. Try and win as many matches and many points, but the league ain't going nowhere. We're not getting anything out of the league. So, we're not going to get relegated. We're not going to get into top 4. The league is a write-off, essentially. You don't want it to be a write-off, but it is. That's what it is. X says, I will let you talk the talk. You will see that summer transfers won't help. Well, all right, I guess. I disagree with that because I don't think you can I don't think you can come to that assumption that they won't help. They can help. Maybe they won't. But I don't think you can say that they 100% won't help. I think that's getting too far ahead. You have no clue who we're going to sign. You have no clue what we're doing with the team. And you have you just have no clue. You don't know how. You have no clue how preseason's gonna go. All of those things are factors. Things can change from now till then. It's a lot of time in between. So, um, Gray says Liverpool bought 4 midfielders in one window. We need to do the same with our attack. Right wing back, left wing back. 10 and a striker needed plus Dorgu. I mean, yeah, and this is what I'm saying. Like, we still need to upgrade the team. We still need to get players in. Clearly, the left wing backs and right wing backs are an important position. And let's not forget, he's still playing with the defenders as wing backs. And that's not what he wants to do. That's not what his actual game plan is. His game plan is to have wingers as the wing backs. For us to be more attacking. So that that could be a factor into maybe if we'll be better attacking and we'll create more chances and we'll score more goals. But playing Delo and Maz as wing backs, that's not what he necessarily wants. Dorgu fits that a little bit better because Dorgu actually plays right midfield, right wing a lot. So he can play left back, left wing back, but he is more of an attacker. So he kind of fits that mold. So we do need more, as Gray says. And we definitely need an experienced striker as well. And again, the midfield, we have Casemiro, useless. We can't use him. He's not going to use him. Ericsson, I think, I like his technical ability in the passing and stuff, but we can't start him. He doesn't have the legs. So, Axe is the system that doesn't suit most of our players is definitely on Amorim. Plus, today's 11 was so bad with main. No, it's not. It's Axe. Let me explain to you why it's not on Ruben Amorim. You want to know why it's not on Ruben Amorim? Because Ineos hired him. Ineos hired him. Ineos knows the football he plays. They had talks, and I'm pretty sure it was made clear that Amorim was going to play this system. They knew very well that this is the system that he's going to play. They agreed on it before Amorim took the job. So knowing all that, they still hired him. They made this decision. It's not on Amorim. I rightfully believe, and I don't care. Listen, for me, Amorim had to come and he has to play this system. Otherwise, you don't hire Ruben Amorim. I don't want Ruben Amorim to come in and play a 4-3-3. It's not his system. It's not his idea. It's not his philosophy. So Ruben Amorim coming here and playing anything other than what he was doing at Sporting, there's no point in hiring Ruben Amorim. Now, I accept that, okay, there's a lot of players that they don't fit the system or they don't play well in the system. We have to get players to adapt and change and fit the system, and the other players, they're just not going to get it and they got to go, and we got to transform the team. That's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to happen this season at this moment. So we're just going to have to take the ride through the pain and do what we got to do. I've seen this happen at 3 big teams that are better than us. They've done it multiple times. Pep, Arteta, and Klopp all did it. It didn't happen overnight. It took them a couple seasons. It also took the people at the club that are in charge doing their job, getting players in, getting players out, and it will transform. But it's going to take time. Ruben Amorim coming in, it wasn't going to transform the team in overnight. So this has to happen. Gray says Alvaro, Fernandez, Cuenda, Cunha, and Osimhen and Dorgu. I mean, those will be all very good. And that will definitely change the team dynamic, Grace, for sure. And we will be able to play differently. So, Richard says, I'm going to support Aston Villa. They're getting one of the world's top strikers. Yeah, I think so. I think we may have to make the move to Villa. Let's go support. Let's go support them. Lyle says, under Eric Ten Hag, we were going backwards fast. Under Rude, ship was steadied. Yes. Under Amorim, it's been 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So we need to finish the season and progress from the next. Well, I do truly believe that we must take the initial hit in the beginning so that the future is better. I do. I think we got to do this. Jeff Hutchinson says it's a pity Dorgu didn't start today. Delo was terrible. Yeah, again, I just think he needs to go on the right hand side, and we need to sort out our team. We need to sort out our squad as a whole. Again, I think Ineos have done good since they've come in with the transfers, with the player profiles. For the most part, I think there's a question over Xerxes, right? But everybody else, and let's see with Dorgu, but they paid a good fee, in my opinion. The wage bill is getting lowered. They've been able to move on Marcus Rashford. Now we got to look to, moving on the other players. I think between Casemiro, Ericsson, and is it Casemiro, Ericsson, and Anthony, something like that. Between them, their wages are 35 million a year. So that's another thing that we gotta, tackle. But when we get to the summer, you can only do so much. And there's news on Tell. We got to get to that as well. So, Gray says Rashford isn't a top striker. Rashford needs a team to build around him. Well, I think actually, let's speak about it. We'll kind of combine the shows together. I actually think, number one, and I wanted to say this live, and I've been itching to say it live, but we haven't been able to go live for a couple matches now. Not a couple matches, a couple days. Listen, number one, when Rashford goes to Villa, I won't be surprised if Rashford starts playing good. I won't be surprised if Rashford starts having very good performances or starts scoring goals. Won't be surprised at all. I think there's a numerous amounts of factors for that. One, I think he'll fit into Villa very good, but also he has something to prove. Just like I said with Jadon Sancho, although Jadon Sancho kind of withered away, I expected. What I'll look to is, I'll see over the long period of time if he's going to sustain whatever form he is in. I expect him to score goals. I expect him to play better. He has a point to prove. He needs to go out there and he needs to show that he can play. He wants to get back into England, so I expect him to try his hardest and put in 100% effort. Wasn't doing it at Manchester United, so I'm not going to do. There's going to be no revisionism saying, "Oh, we shouldn't have gotten rid of him," or because he wasn't applying. He's not going to be applying whatever he's applying at Villa. He wasn't applying at Manchester United, so I expect that to happen. 100%. I expect revisionism to come back, into the fan base like we always do with everybody. When Paul Pogba was here, there was a lot of people that were against Paul Pogba, especially at the end, and they wanted him out. And now everybody wants to take back a Paul Pogba that hasn't played for 2 years and is literally finished. It happens with every single player, every single time. So, I'm not here for it. I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to put that out, that I know 100% that he will go and he will put in good performances. And there's going to be multitude of fans saying that we should have never sold him or we should have never gotten rid of him or blah, 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 blah. And they forget about all the shit that, the negative shit that was going on at the club. So, no, Delo was bad, but nobody else was good. Everybody else was bad too, so, United fans always looking for someone to blame or looking for a savior. And that's why I try to really hit home on the team aspect, Grace, because you are right. And that's why I go down that road, because there's far too many people in the fan base that want to individualize it way too far. And they think that if you sort out this one player, that United's problems will turn back into Prime United. And it's just not true. You have to address it as a team aspect as a whole. And yes, that when you break it down, it goes into individualism, because it's a player there, it's a player here, it's a player there, but collectively, that's like half the squad. So you got to hit it there. Richard says, yeah, we should sell Delo to Aston Villa. There's 5 million. Axe says, if Rashford plays well for Villa, will prove Amorim's incompetence. No, it won't. No, it won't. It won't. It literally won't. It won't prove anything other than Rashford wasn't doing what he needed to do at Manchester United, and now he's doing it somewhere else because he's gotten a fresh start. He's playing maybe in a different system, maybe less expectations, with less eyes on him. And he has something to prove because he wants to get back into the England squad and he needs to reignite his career. But it literally, that doesn't prove what you're saying in any way. Because you know what, Axe, I don't think you would say the same thing if when Jadon Sancho went to Chelsea, and if Jadon Sancho started balling out and scoring 15 goals, I don't think you would have said the same thing for Erik ten Hag. So, you know, again, I don't think it has much to do with Ruben Amorim. I think Ruben Amorim came in, he did the same thing he did to Rashford that he did to Garnacho. Garnacho is here. Amorim is working with Garnacho. He wants to keep Garnacho, and Garnacho is staying here, and Marcus Rashford is not. And I think Ruben Amorim gave Rashford as many chances to try and fight, and Rashford didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight at United. So revisionism. Yeah. The team played badly because of the unsuitable system imposed by Amorim, who was hired by Ineos, who get paid by the Glazers to clean their shit. Yes. And that's why we are going to change the team. Why should we get why should the manager change his system for the players? Why don't we just change the players? Why don't we just do that? Because the players aren't good enough. You know, the players, listen, the squad as a whole that has been built isn't good enough. The money that we spent under Erik ten Hag and the players that we bring in isn't good enough. That job wasn't done good enough. And the job before Erik ten Hag wasn't done good enough. And the job before that wasn't done good enough. So why don't we change the squad instead of bringing in a manager and have him change his ideas to the squad that is shit? They're going to be shit regardless. They're not going to perform. You know, they haven't done anything. They haven't accomplished much. So let's just change them. Let's start a foundation of, we're playing this system, we're playing this idea, and we're playing this football, and gradually we'll get players out and we'll get players in, and we'll fit them to the system, and then we'll have a team that plays the system. I have no problem with that, because everything else that we've ever tried to do has failed anyway. So might as well go down this route and see if it works. Yeah, because Sancho did nothing at Chelsea, but if he did, it had nothing to do with Erik ten Hag, and I don't think this had anything to do with Ruben Amorim. I think it's on Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford was very bad under Erik ten Hag, except for one season. So I don't know how it goes on Ruben Amorim. It's not like Marcus Rashford was in the best form of his life when Ruben Amorim came in, and all of a sudden Marcus Rashford was shit. Sancho is a spoiled brat. I agree. I don't like his attitude, and I don't like his mentality. And I don't think Rashford had a great attitude and mentality either, unfortunately. Gray said Amorim dropped Garner and Rashford. One got his head down, worked hard, and giving it everything. One threw a tantrum, thinking, why isn't this manager not kissing my ass like Eric? And that's how it seems like. I mean, we don't know, 100% what's gone on behind the scenes, but the public perception, that's how it seems like. So, Sancho couldn't have done anything at Chelsea. He could have. What do you mean he couldn't have done anything at Chelsea? He could have went there and he could have played well, but he wasn't good enough. Just like how I'm saying, I don't think that, Marcus Rashford may not necessarily do much for a consistent period of time. He may initial period, I think it's going to happen because it always happens. But let's see, like, the long term, let's see what happens. Because it's all about the long term. It's not about his first 5 matches at Villa. It's not about Sancho's first 10 matches at Chelsea or something like that. It's about what they do when they're there for a year, 2 years. Are you absolutely flying? Are you consistent? Or are you just going to play good for a few matches like we've seen you do at United, and then you're going to drop off and play like shit? So, yeah, what did Garnacho do today? What did anybody do today? Nobody did anything today. But Garnacho's 20, and we can work with Garnacho. And Garnacho had a good influence last match when he came on. Nobody did anything good today. The team was bad as a whole, and therefore we lost the match and we played bad. Again, it's a team aspect. I didn't even finish the player ratings because we got into this whole discussion. So, really, we don't even need to finish them. But Bruno 4, I'm gonna run through them. Speed run through them. Diego Dalot 4, Ahmad 4.5, Garnacho 4 because he got pocketed. Manu 5. Matej Delit 5.5, I guess. Did the goal get scored on him after he came on? Yeah, it did. Ericsson, I don't know, 6. Just because he was a sub and was on there for not too long. Maybe a 5.5. Didn't have that much of an impact. Xerxes 5.5. Rasmus 5.5 because they didn't do anything. And Ruben Amorim, I'll give him a 5 for today because I think he got it wrong. What he tried to do didn't work. We lost the match. The substitutes didn't work either. So, he loses it. He loses it today. So, and as Grace is pointing out, she's just listing players of what did these players do. Nobody did anything. This is what I'm saying. It's just the team aspect. You got to figure out the team. We can single out individuals all day long, but and nobody did anything is on the manager. But to a certain aspect, yeah. But what do you want them to do? Sprinkle magic fairy dust on them? Like, they go into matches, and sometimes they do things, and they do good. Then they go into matches, and they don't do anything. Why? This has been an issue on the same thing you're saying, Axe, happened under Eric Ten Hag. The same exact thing that you're saying. Nobody did anything today. It's on the manager. The same thing happened to Eric Ten Hag. There was matches where we would play and nobody did anything, so then it goes on the manager. Why? We have 2 managers, and the same things are happening. So either we just have 2 very bad managers, and they should have never been hired, and they should never be at Manchester United, or we have a deeper issue with the squad that we have, the personnel that we have, and the identity of the football club that has been eroded for the past 12 years. And how do you fix that? Because it's not going to get fixed in 6 months, and it's not going to get fixed, it's going to take years. If it takes years to fuck it up, it's going to take years to fix it. So, I don't know what magic you want happen. There's nobody in the world of football that is going to come to Manchester United, sprinkle magic fairy dust, and all of a sudden we're going to be good. Because that's what it seems like you're asking for. And I just don't think that's realistic in any way. I don't see anybody in the world of football that you can get that's going to fix this squad in the manner that people are asking for it to happen. In weeks and in months. Never going to happen. This season is a write-off. It was a bad... In one way, it was a bad decision because they bring him in the middle of the season. Right? And maybe we should have had a caretaker for the rest of the season. Maybe we should have just kept Root on there and let Amorim come in. But there's still the chance that further down the line, maybe this will pay off. Because maybe we'll be further along as we move along. But we have to get to that point to see if that even works out. Gray says, Rashford has the ego of Zlatan, the personality of a rat, and we have plenty of them, and the talent level of Bebe. And Axe says, the team has no tactics. It absolutely does. It needs to play against significantly worse teams such as Rangers or FCSB. They can only win as a result of individual differences. Amorim cannot make them play together. All right, so then let's sack Amorim. Let's not hire a manager. Manchester United will no longer have a manager because no manager is going to be able to do the things that you just explained in the time that you want. We'll have no manager, and we'll give full control to. We'll bring Marcus Rashford back. We'll make him player manager captain, and we'll let him run the team. And we'll win the Premier League and the Champions League in the same season. because what I'm seeing is the same problems that Erik ten Hag was suffering and dealing with. And I said that it was, and I defended him multiple times that it's not the manager in those aspects, that it is the squad and the players. And I still see the same problems. And you're telling me it's the manager, and I don't believe that because I didn't believe it was the manager when it was under Erik ten Hag. Grace says Eric's gonna age by 10 years soon, like our manager. They're gonna kill Amorim. He's gonna lose his hair. He's gonna turn gray. What do you mean no manager can do it? How many managers have we had at this club? These issues have been going on for multiple managers. So either we're hiring the wrong pedigree of manager, or there's no manager that can fix this because it's not necessarily a manager issue. There's bigger issues above the manager, right? Like, if Mourinho was allowed to clear the players he wanted to clear and not be forced to keep the players that he wanted, maybe it would have been a different circumstances. Maybe Mourinho's third season wouldn't have collapsed, right? If Amorim has one signing that didn't even play today, one, and you're going after Ruben Amorim already. I don't understand it. It's too early. I don't agree with it. I know that there's issues with the squad. I want the personnel at the team dealt with. The personnel at the team hasn't been dealt with from Mourinho. From Mourinho to Ali to Ralph Rangnick to Erik ten Hag. Hasn't been dealt with properly. And I want it dealt with. I don't want anything to do with the manager. You know. Rooney is looking for a job. Well, let's get Rooney in. All teams buy individual differences. That's how they win. Erik ten Hag couldn't do it for a long time. Amorim obviously can't do it even for a short time. Just hire someone competent. Hire Ancelotti. Ancelotti's at Real Madrid. He don't want to come. Hire Alonso. Alonso wanted to stay at Bayern Leverkusen. He didn't want to come. Hire Nagelsmann. Well, maybe we can hire Nagelsmann, but he didn't want to come either. He stayed where he was. I'm sure they discussed that. You know, when they were doing Erik ten Hag review, they talked to those managers, and I'm sure they already had some contacts with them when they were going to sack Erik ten Hag. And they bring him in because it was the deal that they could do. There's a manager that was performing very well at Sporting in both aspects, in the league and in the Champions League. And they got him in. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Because I know that we can turn it around. But the proper things have to happen. But they have to take time. I have patience. I have time. Manchester United has been shit for 12 years. You know, Manchester United has been shit for 12 years. Manchester United ain't going to get good in 1 or 2 years. It's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. It's going to take 3, 4, 5 seasons if we're lucky. If we're lucky. If we do the things that we need. So, we played 4-2-2-2 under Ralph Rangnick. We were shit. We needed new players. We played 4-3-3, 4-2-4, 4-2-3 under Eric. We were shit. We need a new team. We play 3-4-2-1. We are shit. We need new players. Yeah. Lila says, I'm just going to say sorry if I am mean, but the trolling is annoying me now. And then it has gone at Axe. And said, United wins and you are quiet as soon as there's a setback, you go in default settings. Well, fair enough. That's your opinion, Lyle, and you can hold that. Axe says, we barely win and it's only against low-tier teams. Yes. Yeah, we are in that position, and we need to look to fix it, Axe. I do agree. Obviously, it's not good enough. But I think me and many others out there, we're backing the manager, and we're going to give the manager time. You know, if you don't think he's good enough and you don't like him, that's fair play. But, you know, I'm not here trying to change your mind. I'm just saying that, you know, what you're asking for isn't going to happen. So you're going to keep banging on about it for the next 2 years because I don't expect him to be sacked. And I think there's many things that need to happen that are outside of just him. I get points that what you mean by the system, the tactics, the players need to fit into it. I get that, but he didn't necessarily create the situation, and I'm gonna back him with the path that he's going down because I want to see what comes out of it. I have no problem with doing what he's doing. I want to see what happens because I think we've tried almost every other way and it's all failed. So let's try it this way. And if it fails, then it fails. Because nothing at United has succeeded anyway. So, um, all right. Let me go to the. 'Cause there was news on Tell. We need to get to the news on Tell. Um, because that came out. That came out. And we need to get to Ruben Amorim quotes as well. So let me find the Tell thing. Um, So yes, Marcus Rashford joins Aston Villa on loan until the end of the season. Aston Villa will cover 70% of his salary, which is a very good deal for us. And there's also a 40 million buy option at the end of the season, which is also very good for us. Hopefully he plays well, and hopefully they sign him for 40 million so we can move on as a team. Manchester United haven't lost 7 of their first 13 home matches of a league season over 130 years. Well, yep, that's where we are. Let's go further back. We'll start from the back and we'll go forward. All right. Breaking news was Matthias Tell has decided to join Manchester United with immediate effect. Bayern Munich are pushing for an obligation to buy, for an obligation to buy to be part of a loan or a permanent transfer. Talks are ongoing. Well, I'll tell you what. If we could get obligation to buy for a good fee, I think 60 million is high. I don't really want to pay 60 million, the 60 million that Spurs offered. If we could get it for 40, 45 million, I think it's good. I think 60 is high. I won't like it too much if it's a 60 million. I think it's too high for him. Even though I do think he's a good young player. I just don't. I just think that's too high. It'll kind of go above the 50 million mark that I want to stay around. So, but it's good that United are still trying to do deals, and if we get him in through, that's gonna add some positivity, which is good because we need more. And I don't actually think that if we get Tell, I don't think he'll be the last one. We might get one more, probably in another loan, maybe. I don't know, with the finances of Rashford's loan, I don't know what that opens up necessarily. And we're looking to loan Malacia as well, or sell him, whatever. So we got to see, but I think we could probably get one more on top of Tell. So at least that is some type of a positive. Manchester United have failed to score in 9 of their 24 games. Only Everton 12 and Southampton 10 have failed to score more often in the Premier League this season. Yeah, and that's between 2 managers. It started with Erik ten Hag. It's carried over to Ruben Amorim. Manchester United are getting closer to a deal for Matthias Tell. They're clearly the front runners and ahead of Chelsea and Arsenal. That came from somebody about an hour ago. Ruben Amorim saying, during the game, I felt that the team did some things well, which is what I kind of initially said when we started the show. He said we suffered 2 goals that we can avoid, which is really disappointing today. We take some things from the performance, but not the result. He also said, it is a hard season at this moment. The players try different things to improve. We need to move forward. We had more possession, more connections. We created chances, but we couldn't score, and that was the difference today. But that problem was happening under a previous manager as well. So, and even a previous manager before that as well. So, it was only a difference of 1 season under Erik ten Hag. And then the second season, same issue that Ruben Amorim just described, and the start of his 3rd season until he got sacked, same issue. So it needs to be addressed. It's something that Amorim is going to have to figure out. But, Amorim didn't create this, and it didn't start with him. So he's going to have to figure it out because we can't continue down this way. And, it's just not sustainable. But Amorim on January transfer window said that is with a lot of people in the club. I focus on the next game. Well, yeah, obviously, you're not going to get anything out of that from there. He also said the result is really bad, which is obvious. The performance was a little bit better than the last games. We controlled the transitions quite well for Crystal Palace. We suffered 2 goals that we can avoid, and the injury on Lisandro Martinez was tough for the team. He then spoke on the injury of Martinez, saying, "We are going to see in the next days, but I think it is a serious situation. He is not only a great player, but a strong character in the dressing room. He felt it, and when you are a player, you know when it is something serious. We are here to help him in this difficult moment, like he has helped us." And yeah, that's what I kind of initially thought, that it is something that's going to be long-term serious. It's unfortunate, and he's right on the fact that he's a great player, but he is a strong character in the dressing room, and it's something that we already lack. And it's going to have a bad impact on Manchester United. So, as a team dynamic, Ruben Amorim, on remaining positive, says it's normal for the fans to feel negative. It's a hard season for them, but football can change in certain moments. I will prepare for the next game and move forward. Better things will come. So Amorim keeping the positivity for himself at the very least. And he was asked about the transfer window again. He said, "We are trying everything to improve the team without doing the mistakes of the past," which I think is clear and is exactly what needs to happen, by the way. But he said, "We will see. There is one more day, and let's see." Ruben asked on Marcus Rashford, said the focus is to talk about this game and prepare for the next one. We will see when the window is closed. Ruben also saying it was hard on us, the result. We improved some things from the last games. We improved the better connections. We had more possession. The players created situations, but we suffered 2 goals that we can avoid. Tomorrow, we have to prepare for the next game. Ruben Amorim said the idea was not to leave Rasmus and Joshua on the bench. It was to use the characteristics of Kobe Mainu to improve the team, which is what I felt as well. But it just didn't hit the way maybe we felt like it could have. So yeah. But I think he's making it clear that it wasn't about necessarily dropping them. He just went for a different dynamic and trying to see if that would work, and it clearly obviously didn't. So I don't think he's going to do that again. I think he's learned his mistake. He's clearly made a mistake. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good thing that he did. And I don't think we'll see it again. I don't think we will. He also said it doesn't mean if you play with 2 strikers you will score more goals. It's a problem for the team, and we have spoke about that. We need to improve in all aspects, especially scoring goals. And 100% we do. And that's your job, Ruben. And you're going to need to figure that out. Because at some point it will become your fault. I think it's far too early to pin it on you because it's been a problem before you came here. And at some point, if you don't figure it out, it will go on you because you'll have enough time that you should have sorted it out by then. So we're going to give you more time on that, but 100% you need to figure that out. You need to figure that out. You need to change it. You need to improve it. So Manchester United are advancing in negotiations with Bayern Munich from Matthias Tell. That was 43 minutes ago from Alex Crook. Ruben Amorim on whether it'll be humiliating if Marcus Rashford does well on loan. Well, I already spoke about this. He said, humiliating when you loan a player, and I don't know. Still, as it's not official, you expect them to play and improve, so there is nothing humiliating there, which I think is a good answer, a good rebuttal back to that. And that's the updates that we have there. So, 3 minutes ago from Ben Jacobs, Manchester United have made efforts again today with Bayern for Matthias Tell. However, keep an eye on Christopher Nkunku if United don't land Tell. So coming from Ben Jacobs, it's not going to be both. It's one or. Some people thought that maybe we might get Tell and Nkunku. But Ben Jacobs saying that it's Tell as the priority. If the Tell thing falls through or doesn't materialize, then Nkunku is the, I guess, B option. And yeah. And this is the update straight from Ben Jacobs saying, keep an eye on Christopher Nkunku of Manchester United don't land. Mateus tell efforts today to progress things with Bayern, but still a chance Manchester United make an approach for Nkunku. Chelsea value Nkunku at 60 million, feeling in the past week has been João Felix might leave and Nkunku would stay, but the former hasn't got a viable offer yet, potentially leaving the door open for Nkunku departure. Meanwhile, Chelsea yet to place a bid for Alejandro Garnacho to date, but he's been under consideration this month. I don't think Garnacho's going anywhere now. I don't think it's happening. Even if they put in the bid, I don't think it's happening because I think Ruben Amorim has gone to them and told them that he wants to keep him. So, yes. I don't know what the chat is saying. That has gone crazy. I don't even know where we were. Oh, okay, we were somewhere over here. Don't worry about it, Lyle. Where he says, "Tell us our savior, another youngster who won't do anything." Yeah, I mean, no. There's no one individual player that's going to be our savior. It has to be a collective effort from the squad. Like, not the squad, but like the club. Like, you have to do the changes that we need to do. You got to bring in 4 or 5. You got to move on like 3 or 4, and do that like another 2 times, for sure. I think Ineos have done a good job there so far. Let's see what happens with Dorogu. Hopefully, it's another one that we can add to the list of good. And then we got to look to the summer because clearly we need more, and we don't have enough, and it's not enough. And it's not good enough, and it hasn't been good enough. All right. And Axe is saying that you keep saying he didn't create this. He was hard to solve this, and obviously he cannot do it. And I think that's unfair. I think that's unfair to say that he obviously cannot do it. I don't agree with that. Maybe he can't. But I think it's far too early. It's far too early, around all the circumstances and the situation that he's in, and that the club is in, and that the team is in. I think it's far too early to say that he absolutely cannot do it. I will not make that statement. I think that's I think that's I think it's just far too early to say that. I think it's unfair. You could say you feel like you could say that you might feel like he might not be able to do it. And right now, it's not happening, but I don't think you can categorically say 100% that he can't do it, because I think that there's still a chance that he can do it, and things can be completely different next season, and they can be different the season after. So, and things can be different 5 months from now. So I think it's far too early. He's only been here a couple months. And I already know that, looking at the situation, it's not going to get fixed in a couple months. Nobody is going to fix this in a couple months. Go get all the managers that you said that we should hire. They're not going to fix this in a couple months. It's not going to happen. Won't happen. Do you really have kidney disease, Axelord? If you do, I'm sorry about that. That suck. A terrible thing. I don't want that. We are talking nonsense. The chat is broken tonight. We're talking. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I read that lines that you're telling us to stop sniffing the petrol. Ray says, Eric, do you think Ineos thought Amorim could get more of these players, not knowing these players can't play a 3-4-3? If they didn't, if they did, they clearly know nothing about football. I actually, Grace, I do. I do, and it's because I think they analyzed the players as that they were clearly underperforming. And so I thought that I think they thought that maybe a large portion of the squad was better than they actually are. Um, and therefore they looked at it like, well, they're underperforming, so they could play better. What I think was the mistake, and I think it's a little bit. Well, to be fair, they are in charge, so they should know more than maybe a lot of fans. But even a lot of people in the fan base thought that we would be able to get a bounce from Amorim coming in. Like if we sacked Ten Hag and Amorim came and we got a new manager, we'd be able to get a new manager bounce. It'd be different sort of ideas, a different system. But when you look at it now, obviously hindsight, the team, the players just weren't as good as they maybe identified them to be. And when you couple it with the fact of that you're taking those players and you're putting them into a different system that some of them can play, but then they also, a lot of them don't know how to play, and they need to take the time to learn how to play it on a consistent basis. um it's led to this situation. So I actually do think that they thought that these players were highly underperforming. I think maybe they valued some of them a little bit higher in ability than they actually are, and they thought that if you change the manager and you get a different type of idea and you get to work with them a little bit, that the performances will probably improve and maybe we'll get a little bit more stabilization. I don't think they were under the I don't think they were like, I don't think they thought like, yeah, we'll finish like in third place or something. But I think they looked at it as like, we are severely underperforming for the players we had. Now I think they're looking at it, and this is why I think it's a good thing as well in a certain aspect, because now I think they're looking at it and they're like, nah, these players just ain't good enough. They're just not good enough. Like they they certainly are not good enough. And now I think they're looking to change a lot of the players, which I think is actually good, to come out of the bad. But it is a situation that has been created by probably mistakes from them. Um, X says, I don't feel like he is incompetent. I believe he is so based on how bad this team is playing under him. It gets worse under him, mind you. And yes, I know there are like 354 other variables, but he is still unable to solve this. Well, maybe X, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet personally. I would like more time to go by before I say that he's not going to be able to figure this out. I did the same thing for Eric Ten Hag. And I'll do the same thing for Ruben Amorim, because I've done this with every manager. Um, I try to give the managers as long as I possibly can. As long as I possibly can. And I understand that Ruben's start has been backwards to most Manchester United managers that have come under Fergie. Most Manchester United managers have come in, and it's a positive start, and it all deteriorates. And this has not been a positive start. It's been a real struggle. It's been real inconsistent, and it's been really difficult. But also, barring Ali, no other manager has come in the middle of the season in the situation that they've come into. And so I think that has a big impact. And Ali, he started off brilliantly, but they gave him the contract and then it started falling apart a little bit. And there was concerns and issues with that. So, I don't know. I just want to see it play out. That's where I'm at. And Axe says, yes, I have kidney disease, which I need to control by only drinking water and juice. Don't eat so much salt and meat. And well, I'm sorry about that, Axe. That must suck, man. That's just, I don't. There's nothing I could say that really would make it any better. But yeah, that's just all I could say is, take care of yourself the best you can, I guess. Um, that's just horrible. Horrible. Um, did I miss one of Grace's comments? Oh, Grace. Yeah, I did miss Grace's comments. Grace said they either had to keep Rude till the end of the season and then bring Amorim in, or just write the season, or just write off the season with Amorim, knowing we have to rebuild. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at right now anyway. Which is why it's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Like, um, I think they kind of hoped for both, Grace, in terms of like bring Amorim in. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a bounce. Maybe the performances will improve. I assume somebody, probably Jason Wilcox, because I think that's his job. No, is that he analyzed the squad and thought that they should be able to play this system and play this formation and play this sort of football to a certain degree. He probably, you know, like us, say that, you know, there's just a good large amount of the squad that can't do it. But you know, I'm sure they have a plan. But maybe it's a little bit longer term than it is in the shorter term. Which is why I want to see, you know, I understand both points. Like, yes, in hindsight, because of the way it's going, maybe we should have just kept Rude as interim and let Amorim come in the summer so that Amorim isn't getting the hits that Amorim is getting right now, because it's making him look very bad. And it's not an ideal situation to start. Mind you, he asked to come in the summer as well. So it's not an ideal position in terms of public perception to be in. But one of their things also was that they wanted the manager in now to start the process now, so that it's not, because technically it would be delayed, right? You're delaying it. You know, how many months is he going to be here for? He came in November. So you're technically delaying it for like 7 months, 8 months, because then when Amorim comes in the summer, then you have to start the process that we're in now. You would have to start that process when he gets there anyway. So we would end up going through next season probably in a similar fashion. Maybe it would be a little bit different because he'd get a preseason. He'd be able to get maybe some players. So from Amorim's standpoint, there's some positives in it. There's some things that you can kind of say, okay, I see how this can turn into a good thing, but there's also some bad things. So I don't think it's all 100% bad, but also I think some of the good has to go. It's not in the immediate. It'll come later down the line, hopefully, at the very least, if they do what is required. So, X says at least Eric Ten Hag had something in him, a good attitude. He's been through a lot. But I believe Amorim is worse than Eric Ten Hag and is in a worse situation. Well, I don't know. What do you mean by had something in him though? Like a good attitude? Because I think Ruben Amorim has. I think I like Ruben Amorim's attitude. I like his mentality. I like what he says in all the press conferences. I think he says exactly the things that he needs to be saying. I also like his stances on what he's holding. I like the stances on that if you don't perform, you will not play. If you don't do what I ask you to, you won't. And he's held that value, and he did it with Rashford, and he did it with Garnacho. Now Garnacho came back in because apparently he stepped it up. But I think I think Amorim has a strong character, and I like that. So, I'm not like dismissing what you're saying. I just don't understand by what you mean that Eric Ten had something in him. Because I think if you say Eric Ten Hag has a good attitude, I think Ruben has a good attitude as well. Grace says I don't have a disease, but I'm 5'1", so that's just as bad, right? Well, for a female, it's not, Grace. If you were a male, yes, I think, unfortunately, because that's how the world looks at it. You know, females are allowed to be short. Females could be like 4'8" if they want. I mean, they're gonna be like, yeah, you're really small, but like nobody really cares because you're a female, right? But if you were a male and you're 5'1", they're gonna be like, they're gonna get after you. Arsenal winning 3-1. Yeah, I kind of figured that Arsenal were gonna beat City because it is what it is. Axe says it would have been different, definitely different with preseason and summer transfer window. Yeah, I think so. So that's why we need to get to that period. Like, I understand some of the arguments you make, Axe. I just don't think it's fair to say that they're 100% conclusion and we have to throw everything out of the window. I understand some of the concerns you say. I see some of the concerns that you're saying. I just think it's too early to come to the determination that he is 100% not going to be able to change these things, or that these things can't be changed. I think we're just very early into the process, and the process that I still feel like we do need to go through this, as bad as it is. I still feel like these things need to be addressed along the way, and we need to do what we need to do as a football club. And this process was always going to be difficult, because I think it's a process that Manchester United has ignored. I think they ignored it under Erik ten Hag. And I think it was ignored prior to Erik ten Hag. It was certainly ignored under Ralf Rangnick. I mean, they kicked out Ralf Rangnick for basically saying some of the things that Erik ten Hag said and some of the things that Ruben Amorim have said. They kicked him out of it, and they ignored it, and they pushed it down the line, and they didn't properly address it. And I have a little bit of hope, because I like the players that Ineos have brought in. I like the deals that they're doing. And I like the profile of players that they're identifying. So I want to see what happens once we get a little bit more. I want to see what happens with Amorim getting a little bit more time with the players, getting a proper preseason. Let's get some transfers in and out. Let's see what we can do with the squad dynamic. Let's see what happens when we get to next season. Are we going to improve in any way? Are we going to be around the same levels? Because I think if you get to January of next year and we're in a similar position that we are in now, well, then I think there's very significant, and rightfully so, quite hard questions being asked of Ruben Amorim and what's going on, because there's no way that in 1 year's time you can look exactly the same, have the same exact problems. Now, I'm not saying everything is going to be solved, but in a 1 year's time, you have had to have solved some of the issues and have improved in certain areas, and be better in certain areas as a team. So that's what I'm waiting for. We can criticize along the way, but me personally, I'm going to just keep giving the time until the time comes. Once the time starts passing, like once it's a year and a year and a half, or a season, whatever you want to call it, year and a half, season and a half, 2 seasons, then you really need to start asking more questions about certain things. Like if we played like today and there's been no real progress in the football that we play, and it's been a year in or a year and a half in, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe not all the issues are solved in the team, but how come we still have these things going on? Why is this not being sorted out? And you really have to start looking at the manager and the coaching staff as well. But I just think it's very, very early to start doing that. So, Axe says Erik ten Hag was cringe, but the team wanted to win. He had remontadas constantly. The players were on his side. With Amorim, Mainu plays a striker. Come on, they are so anxious under Amorim. They are very anxious, but they need to learn how to deal with that. They are very anxious. They need to learn how to deal with that. You're at Manchester United. You can't be anxious. And Mainu plays as a striker. I mean, he did it one time. Let's not forget, Erik ten Hag put Mazzamari as a 10 one time. So, managers do things. They don't get everything right. They're going to get things wrong. If we went from this point out, Axe, this is where I would agree with you. If we went from this point out, Axe, and he just keeps playing Mainu as a striker, well, then we have an obvious serious problem, because we have a manager that thinks Kobbie Mainoo can keep playing striker. He tried it one time. I don't think it's going to happen again. They do things sometimes where you say, what the hell are you doing? It doesn't work out. It's bad. This is normal. I think he gets criticism for today. Sure. It didn't work out. I don't knock him for trying it necessarily, because if we won 3-0, which I think we could have in a certain aspect, because I think we did well in possession and we created some chances in having 10 shots, but no good ones on target, and we had 10 corners. If we scored a couple goals, we probably could have won the match, but we didn't. And you know, so and we have an issue. I like even the point that you point out that the team wanted to win, but not at the end when he got sacked. They didn't look like they wanted to win, and that's kind of carried over onto Ruben Amorim. So it's a very strange dynamic because I feel like some of the things that were happening sort of to the end of Eric Ten Hag have kind of have carried over to Ruben Amorim. And he has to address those, but he's also trying to implement the system and not have enough training with the players. So I feel like there's just a lot that he has to address. He knows he needs to address it, but it's like you can't just address everything all at once. So this is what I'm saying. Like we need time. Yeah, Pep out. They're saying I think Pep actually, I don't think Pep is the I don't think he's the manager that everybody thought he was. I think his wife, I'm sorry, ex-wife, I think Pep's ex-wife was the master tactician, and now that they've gotten a divorce, she's no longer giving Pep the tactics, and therefore it's all gone down the drain for Pep there. I think his wife was the one coming up with the tactics. Because ever since she announced the divorce, and they've been separated, it's all gone downhill for Pep. You tell me to connect to reality, and I'm saying you're misunderstanding what I'm saying, Axe. We controlled the game in the possession. We had 10 shots. We had 10 corners. We weren't efficient enough. If we were efficient doing that, we could easily have scored some goals, but we weren't. If you control the match and you have 10 shots and you have 10 corners, but you're not efficient with those opportunities you're creating, because clearly we had the ball, you can win the game, but we didn't do enough. We did okay in that aspect, but we needed to do more, and we didn't. But but having just that baseline, if we did more with the ball, then yeah, we could have. We could have. I'm not saying we should have because we didn't, but we could have. Having 10 shots, number one, more of those shots needed to be on target, so wasteful chances by our players. Having 10 corners, you need to get more chances out of that. You can't have 10 corners to 0 and not have a fucking shot on target off of the corner. So, access the wife effect hypothesis from Eric from the RD. Hey, listen, you give me a better hypothesis. Nobody's given a good hypothesis as to why they've just absolutely just collapsed. Only Manu hit the post. We controlled nothing. We controlled the match. We had more possession than them. We were in their half longer. We controlled the game in that aspect. We absolutely did. And yes, only Manu hit the post. And this is what I'm saying. We took 9 other shots, and they were all wasteful. And I've said that before under Amorim, and I've said it under Eric Ten Hag as well. And I said it before both of them and before we even started this channel. So you have to put the ball in the onion bag, yes. As Michael Owen once masterfully said, in football, if you score more than your opponent, you will win the game. I mean, that's just simple maths. That's just simple maths. Yes. All right, but listen, we got to end the show for today. That's it. We gotta go do things. We gotta go get things taken care of. Now, transfer deadline day. I don't know if we're gonna be able to go live because they told us that we're gonna have to work late. And I don't know how late we're gonna work. So it may be very late, and I may get home. I may get home very late, and obviously the window, the time is in UK time. So, but by the time I get home, the window may be closed, so we may not be able to actually do um a live thing for the window closing. So I don't know. I'll try and keep you guys updated on that front. Worst comes to worst, if we do a deal in any aspect on transfer deadline day, maybe I'll do a short little video, maybe like a 10-minute video or something, and I'll put it out on the thing. It won't be live, it'll just be recorded, and I'll put it out because um I don't know if I'll be able to do anything else other than that. So and as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure we are playing on Friday, are we not? For the we're playing next Friday for the FA Cup against Leicester, and that game's at 3, and I don't think I'll be able to watch it because I'm going to be at work, potentially working overtime, because this week is going to be a lot of hours. We have to push and finish things up. So let me just make sure though that is a Friday. Yeah, yeah, it's at the 7. It's at 3 o'clock. So I probably won't be able to do a Red Devil recap for that match, unless circumstances change. But as of right now, I'm predicting that I'm not going to be able to do it. So, and then we don't play. You know, when's the next time that we play? So if anything worse comes to worse, we will do a live show probably on Sunday. Is 1 week from now is the next time that I'll be able to speak with you guys really properly and have a proper live show. If anything changes throughout the week, then obviously, you'll see a schedule. So I'll provide a community update post, like I usually do. Lion says we need gifts. They're coming. Well, emojis, gifts, not really gifts, emojis. They're emojis. Lyle is working on them, and we'll get them. And says, man, YouTube sucks. So yeah, Grace says yeet. Fair enough. Arsenal 4-1, Manchester City. Yeah, it's over for them. We knew that was coming, so I already knew. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. So thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. If you didn't smash the like button, please smash the like button because it helps the channel and grow. And Grace, before we do leave, you got a secret topic, or does anybody have a secret topic? It doesn't have to just be Grace. But does anybody have a secret topic that they want for the comments? Because we need the comments. And Lion smashed it out of the park with his last one. I don't know how he did that. But it was absolutely brilliant. He molded it. He gave us a story about Marcus Rashford at a I don't know if it was a hardware store, but it was for his boiler that he named, and that they were in the store together, and he had an interaction with him, and he wanted Marcus Rashford to Marcus Rashford wanted him to buy a really expensive boiler, and Lions was like, what the hell, I can't afford that. So yeah, I mean, if you want to comment that, Axe, you can. Matrix. What Matrix? We need a topic. Let me think of one. Trying to think of one. Grace doesn't know either. All-time favorite footballer, says Lyle. Yeah, we could do that. You could put in your all-time favorite footballer. Grace says, I like Axe's idea. Amorim out. I mean, if you want to comment that, you can. I don't, I'm not going to stop anybody from commenting what they believe in. But secret comment, we could do all-time favorite footballer, and I would throw in, we could do let's do buy, bench, sell for players as well. If you want to do that, we could do that as well. So you could either do your favorite footballer, or you could do buy, bench, sell. Give us a player you would buy, a player you would bench, and a player you would sell. So obviously 2 of them in the current United squad and 1 not in the current United squad. Grace says, favorite United player, favorite goal, favorite match you have watched. Pineapple and pizza, absolutely not. Yeah, any one of those you want, go ahead. Get in the live, on the live. Get in the comments. We could do any of them. Any one of them is good enough. Yeah, all-time favorite footballer, and let's go with buy, bench, and sell. A little bit different than normally, but not keep, right? But buy, bench, sell. So one player you would buy, one player you would sell, and one player that you would bench that is currently in the squad. Grace says Lyle needs to be banned for pineapple and pizza. I think he was just merely putting out, do you put pineapple on pizza? Not necessarily asking, not necessarily saying he puts pineapple on pizza. But yeah, we could keep that one for next time. Let's keep it a football tonight, then pineapple next time. Yeah. So we'll do favorite player and buy, bench, sell. Buy, bench, sell. And we'll speak very, very soon. Thank you to everybody that supported. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Anybody that's new that subscribed, thank you very much as well. Not yet, Grace. Go into the comments after I end the show. And Richard as well. Thank you to all you guys. Shout out to Lyle. Shout out to Richard. Shout out to Axe. Shout out to Lions. Thank you all to supporting the channel as always. Aventino in the beginning as well. Shout out to yourself. You guys have all been very good. We'll speak very, very soon. Everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be good. Get in those comments after I end the show. Because they've been helping out and they've been very good. And